For more than 3 decades, Michael Jackson's appearance was the target of some of the cruelest ridicule on the planet. The media called him grotesque, invented stories about thousands of surgeries, and accused him of bleaching his skin to erase his roots. The entire world came to believe that he had deliberately destroyed his own face.
That's the most ridiculous, horrifying story I've ever heard. It's crazy.
But behind the image distorted by the press was a horrifying truth that no newspaper seemed willing to acknowledge. When medical casts of his face were placed side by side, they revealed a startling contradiction. The underlying bone structure of his face had barely changed across 3 decades. So, if surgery was not what took away the face the world once knew, what brutal force ultimately transformed the king of pop into a victim of the very judgments the world placed upon him? 2. Nose surgeries and a myth. To understand why Michael Jackson's face became one of the longest-running controversies in entertainment history, the story must begin with what he openly admitted himself. In his 1988 autobiography, Moonwalk, Jackson wrote directly about the changes to his body. He confirmed that he had undergone exactly 2 nose surgeries. He attributed the remaining changes in his appearance to weight loss, a strict diet, and the natural physical development that came with puberty. That statement immediately collided with a completely different picture created by the media. Tabloid newspapers repeatedly published sensational headlines claiming that Jackson had undergone thousands of cosmetic procedures. They portrayed him as someone addicted to surgery, constantly reshaping the bones of his face in an attempt to create an entirely new identity. The enormous number was repeated so often that it eventually became accepted as an obvious fact. Yet behind those dramatic stories was a complete absence of legal or medical evidence. No medical records, hospital bills, or confirmed statements from doctors were ever produced to support the claim that he had undergone thousands of operations. One fact cannot be denied. Michael Jackson did have cosmetic surgery. The shape of his nose clearly changed over time, but the actual extent of those procedures did not match the extraordinary story the world had been told. The public chose to believe the number thousands rather than the number 2 that Jackson himself acknowledged. Many assumed that only the complete destruction and reconstruction of his facial structure could have transformed a black teenager with broad, youthful features into an artist with such a dramatically different appearance. The gap between Jackson's limited admission and the distorted imagination of the media created a false legend. That legend grew until it overwhelmed reason and turned every photograph of him into another source of suspicion. But if only 2 nose surgeries were publicly acknowledged and no medical evidence ever supported the claim of thousands of procedures, why did his face appear to change so dramatically that millions of people found the rumor believable? The answer did not begin inside a cosmetic surgeon's office. It began much earlier, inside the emotional wounds of his childhood home. The damage began before the surgery. The reason behind Michael Jackson's surgeries did not originate in a clinic. It began inside his childhood home in Gary, Indiana. According to Jackson, his father, Joe Jackson, frequently used violence and humiliation to discipline his children. Joe was especially critical of physical appearance and repeatedly mocked Michael for his large nose and acne-covered skin during adolescence. Those insults, repeated by his own father, planted a deep insecurity about his appearance that followed him for the rest of his life. The first physical turning point came in 1979. During an intense dance rehearsal, Jackson fell and broke his nose. The injury obstructed his airway and directly affected his ability to sing. That medical problem forced him to seek help from surgeon Stephen Hoeflin. Jackson underwent his first nose operation in an attempt to restore proper breathing. At the same time, the procedure narrowed the features his father had ridiculed throughout his childhood. The first surgery unintentionally offered an escape from years of psychological pressure. Once Jackson realized that he could change the part of his face that had caused him the greatest shame, he underwent a second nose operation. Later adjustments focused primarily on narrowing the bridge and refining the tip. Repeated surgical work on the same cartilage and tissue gradually weakened the skin and the supporting structure of the nose. By 1987, Jackson had also undergone a chin implant procedure that created a cleft and helped balance the proportions of the lower part of his face. However, all of these procedures were limited to specific areas of the nose and chin. His skull, jawbone, and cheekbones were not carved down or radically reconstructed. This is the central problem with the popular narrative. Surgery on the nose and chin can alter small areas in the middle and lower sections of the face. It cannot completely transform a person's entire appearance or create the impression of an entirely different human being. If Jackson's bone structure remained unchanged and surgery was limited to only a few areas, what truly transformed the way the world perceived his face? The answer was not hidden inside an operating room. It was concealed within the photographs, lenses, and camera angles used during different periods of his life. What the camera lied about? To answer that question, Michael Jackson's face must be examined across a realistic timeline rather than through isolated photographs. Tabloid publications frequently used before and after comparisons as proof that his face had become deformed. But these comparisons often relied on the same visual trick. The photographs were completely different in camera angle, lens length, lighting, facial expression, and image quality. Almost anyone can appear to be a different person when photographed under intense flashlighting from a low angle while wearing an uncomfortable or forced expression. The most reliable physical evidence does not come from photography. It comes from medical casts of Jackson's face. Medical researchers and special effects professionals who worked with him have compared 3 facial casts created at 3 separate moments in his life: 1978, 1983, and 1996. These casts were taken directly from his actual face, accurately reproducing the structure of his skull and the proportions of the surrounding soft tissue. When the 3 casts are placed side by side, the comparison reveals a surprising truth. The clearest and most significant difference is the narrowing of the nose, the shape of the lower jaw, the projection of the cheekbones, the distance between the eye sockets, and the structure of the forehead remain almost identical across nearly 20 years. Jackson did not have his jaw carved down. He did not have his cheekbones reconstructed or enlarged with implants, as the tabloids repeatedly claimed. The underlying structure of Michael Jackson's face remained remarkably stable against the passage of time. If the bones barely changed, then whatever made him appear increasingly different must have come from the surface. And the dividing line that changed everything began with his skin. Skin changing beyond his control. Michael Jackson's skin began changing noticeably during the early 1980s. At first, small areas of lighter skin appeared across his body. After medical examinations, dermatologists diagnosed him with vitiligo, an autoimmune condition that destroys the cells responsible for producing melanin. More specifically, he suffered from vitiligo universalis, an extremely rare and extensive form of the disease that causes pigment loss across large areas of the body. By 1991, the white patches had spread so widely that Jackson's face and body had developed a highly uneven pattern of light and dark skin. Conventional makeup could no longer conceal the contrast. Doctors prescribed Benequin, a medication designed to remove the remaining areas of darker pigment so the skin could become more uniform. The inevitable result was that his entire complexion became extremely pale. This was a medical treatment, not a deliberate attempt to bleach his skin or erase his black heritage, as the public repeatedly accused him of doing. At the same time, Jackson was confronting a second enemy. His medical history showed that he also suffered from discoid lupus erythematosus. This autoimmune disease attacks healthy tissue and can cause serious damage to the skin and scalp. Lupus flare-ups can also produce facial swelling, which became particularly visible during 1985 and 1986. Once again, the media attributed the swelling to Botox injections or failed cosmetic surgery rather than illness. In 1993, after years of relentless criticism, Jackson sat down with Oprah Winfrey for a historic television interview. For the first time, he publicly revealed that he had vitiligo before an audience of tens of millions. Struggling to contain his emotions, Jackson explained that he was proud to be black and that the loss of color in his skin was completely beyond his control. Tragically, the public dismissed his explanation almost immediately. Many treated it as another fabricated excuse. Vitiligo fully explains the dramatic change in his skin color, but pale skin alone cannot explain why the overall shape of his face began to appear sharper, thinner, and increasingly androgynous. 2 removable layers, hair and makeup. The most dramatic visual transformation did not take place beneath Michael Jackson's skin. It came from layers of concealment that could be removed. The first was his hair. Jackson's hairstyle evolved from the natural afro associated with the 1970s to the glossy Jerry curl look he adopted during the 1980s. but his natural hair would not survive for much longer. On January 27, 1984, Jackson entered a studio to film a commercial for Pepsi. Everything proceeded normally until the sixth take. The pyrotechnic effects exploded earlier than planned. Sparks fell directly onto Jackson's head and ignited the flammable product in his hair. For the first few seconds, he did not realize what was happening. He continued spinning and performing his Billie Jean dance movements while flames spread across the top of his head. Moments later, members of the production crew rushed toward him, forced him to the floor, and desperately tried to extinguish the fire. Jackson was taken to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center and later transferred to the burn unit at Brotman Memorial Hospital. Despite suffering serious third-degree burns, he insisted on leaving the hospital early against medical advice. He did not pursue a public lawsuit against Pepsi. Instead, he reached a private settlement and donated the entire compensation payment of approximately $1.5 million to establish a burn treatment center for children at Brotman Memorial Hospital. The center was named in his honor. The accident left permanent damage. The fire destroyed hair follicles across the top of Jackson's scalp, preventing his hair from growing normally again. Hairstylist Carol Lemire spent years treating the damaged area, administering injections and caring for the scarred tissue. The extensive hair loss eventually forced Jackson to rely on hair extensions and wigs. The constant use of straight, long, or curled wigs completely changed the visual proportions surrounding his face. Depending on the hairstyle, his face could appear longer, narrower, or more angular, even though the underlying structure remained the same. The second element that reshaped his appearance was makeup. At first, Jackson used a darker foundation to conceal the uneven patches created by vitiligo. But as the remaining darker pigment disappeared, his entire face became extremely pale. This removed much of the natural contrast and depth normally visible in a three-dimensional face. To prevent his features from disappearing beneath powerful stage lighting, Jackson had to create artificial definition. His eyebrows were darkened and tattooed. Heavy black eyeliner was applied around his eyes, and a strong pink tone was tattooed onto his lips. The severe contrast between porcelain pale skin and these dark, sharply defined features made his appearance seem increasingly angular, dramatic, and feminine. Illness, permanent injuries, wigs, and makeup explained nearly the entire visual transformation. But by the beginning of the 2000s, even this desperate system of concealment began to turn against the person it was meant to protect. When the disguise turned against him, the disguise began to fail as Michael Jackson's physical health reached its lowest point. The injuries of the past were beginning to demand a devastating price. The chronic pain from the scalp burns he suffered in 1984 never fully disappeared. In 1999, Jackson experienced another serious accident when he fell from a height during a performance, causing significant damage to his spine. To endure the pain and continue working, he became increasingly dependent on powerful painkillers and sedatives. The side effects of these medications directly affected his nervous system and facial muscles. During the 2000s, his eyes often appeared unfocused and exhausted. His eyelids drooped and no longer opened with the same natural expression they once had. His physical deterioration was accompanied by a series of poor styling decisions from a newer makeup team. Jackson began wearing straight, rigid wigs that were badly proportioned to the size and shape of his head. This made his head appear larger and more unnatural. His makeup also became increasingly exaggerated. His eyebrows were tattooed into high, dramatic arches. His lips were outlined in an intense red, while the dark eyeliner around his eyes was often uneven or smudged. The combination of physical exhaustion and poorly applied makeup created a gaunt and unsettling appearance. The tabloid media immediately seized the opportunity. They selected photographs taken during his most tired and disoriented moments and used them to construct increasingly sensational stories. They claimed that his drooping eyelids were the result of failed eyelid surgery. They insisted that the stiffness in his face came from cheek implants and excessive Botox injections. Buried beneath flawed makeup, medication and side effects, physical illness, and endless malicious rumors, Michael Jackson's real face almost completely disappeared from public view. But beneath that fractured mask, did the person he had always been still exist? His real face was still there. The final truth was eventually revealed. Michael Jackson's real face had never disappeared, but the strongest evidence came from a cold and painful place that no one wanted to examine: the autopsy table in 2009. When the full wig was removed, the medical report recorded that his remaining natural hair was short, sparse, and tightly curled. It survived beside large areas of scar tissue left by the burns across his scalp. The report also found that the right side of his nose had partially collapsed, because the cartilage had been weakened by repeated procedures. It was the physical price of trying to change the feature he had learned to hate during childhood. What was revealed during the examination showed that beneath every dramatic and glamorous layer of concealment was a human being carrying extensive physical damage. The same report also delivered complete medical vindication. Forensic experts confirmed the clear presence of vitiligo across 5 areas of Jackson's body. His skin contained both pale sections that had lost pigmentation and darker areas of his original complexion. This highest level of medical evidence finally destroyed the accusations that he had deliberately bleached his skin. It confirmed the truth of what he had been forced to declare alone on television 16 years earlier. In a deeply symbolic development, June 25th, the date of Michael Jackson's death, was later chosen by the international community as World Vitiligo Day. It became a kind of delayed apology to a man whose private suffering had brought global attention to a disease that millions of people had never understood. Reducing every change in Michael Jackson's appearance to an addiction to cosmetic surgery was both shallow and cruel. It was like examining one damaged pixel under a magnifying glass while refusing to acknowledge the existence of the entire picture. The forces that truly transformed his appearance were a devastating combination of a rare autoimmune disease, permanent injuries from a horrific accident, desperate cosmetic concealment, declining physical health, and a limited amount of genuine cosmetic surgery. All of those layers covered a facial structure that remained almost unchanged across decades. That is the final paradox of Michael Jackson. From the outside, he appeared to have been completely destroyed and reconstructed. But deep beneath the makeup, the wigs, the scars, and the accusations, the sorrow in his eyes, the shy expression in his smile, and the original features of a young boy from Gary, Indiana, remained there until the final moment of his life.